The iPhone 15 Pro Max is a really good camera. Put that in a Divevolk Seatouch 4 Max housing and it becomes a really good underwater camera. However, it could use a little help when it comes to macro. Typically, I use Divevolk's +8 close-up lens for daily use. But I picked up the AOI UCL 900 +15 close-up lens after our trip to Indonesia, where I wasn't able to get the really close-up shots of all the tiny nudibranchs that I wanted. Now that we're back in the Caribbean, I've taken it out on quite a few dives, and here are my impressions. To be honest, we opened this up in January, and I don't have the original box. That said, it came with a protective bag, lens caps for both sides, and a nice wraparound strap with a carabiner-style clip to help keep it secure. The protective bag is nice because, while I bring it out on most dives, I don't use it every time. It stays in a pocket, safely protected by the bag, ready to use. I should mention that the protective bag is a tight fit, which is probably good for most situations, but removing the lens underwater can be difficult. As such, I've repurposed a small neoprene cover with a wider opening that I use for my GoPros. There are a couple of ways to dive with this lens. The first is to screw it on before the dive with the intent of using it as your only external macro lens. The second, more ambitious and some might say more risky approach, is to dive with your normal external wet lens or red filter and then swap it out underwater when you come across a terrific macro subject. This is what that process looks like. It requires fairly good buoyancy while making the switch, and you have to juggle several objects at once. The camera, the lens or filter you're taking off, and the one you're putting on. It can take a minute or two, so we don't recommend making the switch if you're not able to stay in one place for that long. If you go this route, be very careful. Dropping loose equipment can be expensive. Either way, now that you have the +15 close-up lens attached, check it out with each of your phone's lenses to see what works best for you. We are currently using the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and while the AOI UCL 900 does work with all three iPhone lenses, we prefer the default 24mm lens, because its 48 megapixels captures more detail than the 12 megapixels on the other two lenses, and it has a reasonable focal distance range, between 2 and 3.5 inches. Using the 13mm iPhone lens, the focal range significantly increased from 7 inches all the way down to less than half an inch. So, you can get closer and more of the subject will be in focus, but the 12 megapixel video isn't great on larger screens, and zooming in digitally gets a bit blurry. The focal distance using the 120mm lens was unforgiving, locked in at just about 3 inches. That, and its very shallow depth of field, means that if you or the subject moves, even a little, the video will likely be out of focus. So this combination was a non-starter for us. Anyway, the rest of the clips in this video use the 24mm lens. When we first started using the +15 close-up lens, we practiced on sea life that doesn't move, and there is quite a bit of that on the reef. Coral is a great subject, and, in our opinion, the intricate details aren't appreciated enough. We thought the pattern on this sand dollar was fascinating, and a patch of Sergeant Major eggs was also interesting, although it would have been better if we could see their eyes. Once we got comfortable with stationary objects, we moved on to things that only move a little bit or very slowly. Hidden anemone can sway with the water movement, and again, in our opinion, could use some video love. Christmas tree worms can move back and forth as well, and capturing one closing or opening can make for some dramatic footage. Blennies usually just poke their heads out, but if you stick around for a bit, there's a good chance one may come out for a quick snack. Crabs are also great subjects. This white speckled hermit crab had stunning blue eyes, as did this star-eye hermit crab that was just going to town looking for food in the sand. And it's always good to check around giant anemone. We frequently see banded clinging crabs using them for cover here on Bonaire. Snails fall into the slow-moving category. We caught this crown cone crawling over the sand on a night dive, as well as this very beautiful music volute going for a walk during the day. Both of those gave us the confidence to try to capture a white-nosed pipefish. At this point in our experimentation, we decided to try the lens on a few things that might be a bit unpredictable or move a little more quickly, like this spotted cleaner shrimp munching on a snack. Peterson shrimp are also great for a bit of action. This one appears to be carrying eggs. And squat anemone shrimp, also known as sexy shrimp, fill the frame nicely. Despite their transparency, we had some success with sun anemone shrimp crawling around their home turf as well. After we made the progression from stationary to moving objects, we started to look for unique sea life that we don't typically see macro video of on social media, like the feet of a red heart urchin as it's walking up a sand channel, or a slender filefish hanging around some wire coral. Heck, we were even able to capture a pretty neat close-up of a golden tail moray eel that didn't seem to mind a lens in its face. And we were super lucky to stick with this swimming juvenile smooth trunkfish for a few seconds. Overall, there is a wide variety of subjects and scenarios where the AOI UCL 900 plus 15 close-up lens can help you shoot some amazing macro footage. That said, there are some parameters to consider when using it. If your subject is in a recessed or tight space, you may not be able to get the lens close enough to focus. Look for subjects out in the open, on flat surfaces, or on the outer edges of rocks and corals. Surge, wavy shallows, and even mild currents make holding this lens steady enough for good shots challenging. Calmer waters are much more conducive to longer handheld shots. Bonaire, where we live, is a marine park, so there are very few circumstances where we can use a tripod. However, if you're in a location where that is possible, a tripod will significantly improve the length and quality of shots with this lens. Finally, this lens is relatively heavy. It weighs 0.35 pounds in the water, so you may want to consider additional flotation when using it. I love the capabilities of the plus 15 close-up lens from AOI. In this shot, I was trying to get the detail on a top snail shell that was about 1 inch in diameter. When I reviewed the footage at home, I saw it also clearly captured a juvenile blackline fireworm that couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 millimeters, which was awesome. Still, even though this was a great shot, the use cases are a bit too infrequent to use as my default macro lens. While a red filter and +8 close-up lens from Divevolk remain as my primary configuration, I always bring the plus 15 with me and make the swap whenever the subject and circumstances are right for a great macro shot. We hope this video was helpful, and would like to add that, as with all of the products, applications, and gear we mention on this channel, we receive no compensation from anyone. We also don't accept free trials or test versions of commercial products, and we don't have affiliate links. We pay for everything to ensure there is a clear line of separation when discussing gear. If we like a product, it's because we like that product. Anyway, if you'd like to see more gear videos, why not send us a little love by subscribing to the TropicLens channel? If you'd like to see more gear videos, why not send us a little love by liking this video? If you'd like to see more gear videos, let us know in the comment section below, where you can mention we said, if you'd like to see more gear videos 4 times. Just keeping you on your toes. But seriously, do those now. Thanks! Smiley face.